if you want to like get popular, take Hassan positions or like the vouch positions.
Real.
You know,
Or the destiny positions.
Exactly. Like take something that is more tolerable and then just stand there like arguing for like the easy stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And stuff that'll get people riled up, but like nothing that really challenges power. I really don't see this as a grift in terms of, once again, like the idea that it seems better funded. I literally think they're just sinking their money into this. They have to at some point just be sinking their own personal funds into the project for it to have like any funding at all, because you know, with those numbers that you just gave, like that's not very substantial.
Yeah,
you know,
I think I saw something. I think it was on the ACP Leaks Twitter page, so I don't know how accurate it is, but I saw a screenshot. I think Jackson Hinkle is putting a lot of his own money, probably from his content creation, right? Because he has the podcast and he's been like a content creator for years. So if I remember the screenshot correctly, it was saying that Jackson Hinkle is funding at least the events, if not the whole party. But a bunch of them are content creators, so I bet they make a substantial amount of money between them all. I watch Haz's stream sometimes. He always has like 400 to 500 to 600 people watching at least.
I mean, like that's kind of what it comes down to. Like I think I agree is that it's probably at the moment it's probably a loss to them, you know, like they're sinking their own personal funds. And I think that kind of not rejects, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess that kind of like not rebukes, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I guess that kind of goes against, refutes, that's the word, that refutes the claim that it's just a grifter operation. This is like starting a party is the worst way I would imagine to grift for money. You know, it would benefit them more to just remain independent creators, maybe just have their little club where they all talk in a big panel or something. You know, that would be a way to make money. This really seems to be at a detriment to them to some extent. This is not being a very clean situation where, you know, people are getting doxed, people are getting harassed and stuff like that. This is just not a smart way to grift if this were a grift, you know?
What do you think about all that? Like the harassment, the doxing? Because that's, I don't know, that's one of the biggest complaints that I feel like there is some truth in, right?
I would agree. In terms of doxing and stuff like that, I'm kind of mixed on the issue. On the one hand, it's not like Infrared hasn't been harassed by the left before, you know, or like kind of liberal left. Realistically, anyone who kind of opposes that sort of more ultra left wing gets harassed. So I don't really see it as necessarily the worst thing that Infrared is fighting back in any way. Also, I know this is kind of LARPy. I know they view themselves as like the legitimate revolutionary struggle. So I'd imagine they probably justify it in some very warlike way, as this is war or whatever. But it's not, you know, members of them haven't already been doxed.
What do you think of that, like, this is war mentality? Do you have any opinions on that?
I mean, I think it is. I don't know what else like you can say on that one. I mean, at a certain point, someone has to challenge this very benign element of the left, or we're just going to keep arguing forever. A podcast I've been watching lately is the one with Dead Domains and Redis Rosa, WTF Now, or What the F Now. I've been watching that one a lot lately, and like they're more on that left comm side of things. Redis Rosa is like an avowed left comm, and then Dead Domain is just kind of generic leftist. Watching them, they're completely lost. That entire camp is just completely lost, because in the same way that the election of Donald Trump in 2016 represented this massive failure for the left, I think this election represented something very similar, in that this just was not expected. No one thought this. The weird thing is the left didn't think this would happen. Everyone else knew Donald Trump would win this election. Like, Kamala was not a strong candidate. So when losing an election is capable of destroying the entire left, it really speaks to how weak overall what we think of as the left really is, you know, weak in terms of an institution.
No, I definitely agree. It feels like there's not really anything holding it together in the way that there has been in the past, or whatever there is there to hold it together is just failing. I don't know. Apparently there was some young Zoomer or millennial Democrat who, I think his name was like David Hoggs or something, but he like tried to run or something, or he like challenged a Democrat incumbent. He got kicked out of the party. If these are the solutions to just keep running geriatrics that lost last time, I don't know. It's a losing strategy. So I definitely think ACP is right, and splitting from CPUSA that was like stuck into this idea of we just need to tail the Democrats. I think it's definitely a good strategy in terms of at least trying something new, right? Trying to make something work that hasn't.
Yeah, no, 100%. Thus far, people really only kind of think in terms of just electoralism, and like that's the only solution. And I think that really stems from the CPUSA following the collapse of the Soviet Union. I forget who exactly that idea was linked to in the CPUSA, but that is and like was their their official position was just, we're just gonna kind of, you know, use the Democratic Party to kind of like mediate whatever losses, you know what I mean? More so than like actually engaging in a legitimate struggle of any kind, whether that be political or like, you know, on the ground revolutionary. And we're definitely not at that point where revolution is viable, but I really think that the point in which any sort of conflict breaks out, it's not going to be something that's preemptively planned or anything. Like, it's going to be very spontaneous, you know, and it's not going to be a direct like, oh, this faction against this faction. It's literally just going to be a breakdown of the system itself, like a challenging of the legitimacy of the US, and then you're going to have factions from the right and factions from the left all fighting against each other.
Just
And
anarchy.
one thing I definitely, exactly, and one thing I don't see having a strong enough base to fight back in any way is going to be the broader left. That's I think why the ACP wants a party of the working class, not of just like academics, you know what I mean? What are they going to do, lecture at a conflict taking place until it ends?
I think it's even deeper than that. I feel like when it really comes down to it, ACP is trying to serve as that social glue so that when the institution of the United States falls, there is something cohesive holding us together, keeping us united, rather than devolving into like, I'm killing my neighbor because they have food and I just ran out of groceries because we're 4 weeks in and we all live in the city and there's no trucks bringing any more food in, right? Like, yeah.
No, I mean, like, I would agree that it's trying to like create that sort of structure outside of everything else that is happening, and I think that's where dual power comes into effect. Of course, like whatever business you can start with the ACP, that shit's all gone as soon as like this kind of thing, like a theoretical civil war breaks off. Like most of that infrastructure is going to fail. It's more about having the party in place.
Yeah, and having those social connections will still be there for most of them. You know, some of them I imagine in the initial chaos of the anarchy, we will say goodbye to some of our comrades and some of our non-comrades. But after the initial anarchy, then I imagine the party strength would be very valuable.
Yeah, and I can already preemptively feel/hear people coming in to criticize this particular part of the conversation, talking about revolution as like overly LARPy or something like that. But realistically, conflict breaks out. Conflict has broken out in the US before, you know what I mean? We had a whole civil war. If you don't foresee revolution as being a part of what is eventually going to happen in the socialist struggle, then why even be a leftist?